I am back with brand new equipment. I've been having awful issues since I've come onto YouTube with faulty microphones, and I'm back and I'm hoping that all is now resolved. I have brand new equipment and I'm normally a lot more professional. I have been on my online courses, but I've just been having some real glitches. But on this video, so it's now into May, 3rd of May today, I just want to show you how to change the shed. And we need to change the shed when we're bringing in different shapes or colours that are going to be in the wrong place in between two weft bundles. So in my other videos, I showed you all about weft bundle placement. And in this video, I'm going to start off with some orange at the bottom. We'll pretend this is sand and this is a little bit of sea or lake. So start off with orange at the bottom and just going to do a few rows or picks. Bring in some blue, so we've got two weft bundles together, and I'll refer to a weft bundle as one thread, or for me it would be four fine threads. And then what we need to do when we bring in a third weft bundle for this little boat. So I'm just going to do a bit more of the orange and I'll come back when I bring in the blue. Right, I'm back on camera and I've just tested that last bit of filming and all is good, and I can't tell you what a relief it is, because when I can't film I really miss it. So it is good to be back. So when I'm doing the complete width of the warp, I use my 6-inch needle. And then when I switch to doing different sections, I then use my small tapestry needles. So these long needles are great for speed when you're just working side to side. And then when I come to swap and I bring in my next weft bundle, the blue, I just switch to these smaller tapestry needles, which you can get from Amazon. And I've got all the links. Should have all the links on my feed, or if not, they're definitely on my website. And can you see, look, I've just got into a model. So I'm just going to quickly sort that. This is the joy of working with DK yarn. Right, that's sorted. So this is the first time I've mentioned a cartoon. So yeah, so a cartoon is just a tapestry drawing, and some of my best cartoons are done on simple graph paper. Now in the UK, this is A4, which I then just cut with a guillotine to size and then position behind my warp threads in the right place. So that's where my double half hitch knots are. So they sit behind your weaving when you're working, just for reference, or you can take them out as and when you need to, and you can also copy the drawing onto your warps, but I never go too far ahead because I'm working on such a tight tension on this little loom that it can distort. So you might draw something on here and then the shape can get all out of alignment. So that's from experience of doing that. But I'll do another video on cartoons as well. I'm making a list of all the things I want to cover on this channel. So I'm just going to switch out my big needle for a little orange one. So when I'm bringing in the blue, if you remember from my weft bundle placement video, so I leave my orange at this side, and it means I'm going to bring in my blue from this side, so that we're working together and coming away again. And what we're going to do is work to this little line here, and the orange is then going to sit on top of the blue for a bit. So I'm going to do my pigtails. So it means coming under the valley, which is the exposed warp, and a hill. So coming under the 2, and I always look after my selvages, my edges. So just wrap my thread around the first warp and make a pigtail. Again, I've got another video on that if you need it. And I'm just going to roughly follow the cartoon, and I'm going to come to here, to where I think the blue's going to go to. Always keeping some arching in my weft, and then come and meet it with the orange. It's quite hard for me to see the warps with the graph paper because it's a similar colour, so and I've got the camera in front of me, so bear with me while I just get used to this new equipment. So I'm just looking, I can wrap around with either colour. I'll wrap around with the blue and come back to the side. Remember, you've always got to complete your pass when you're working like this. So meet the blue and return to the side to complete your pass. Because 2 picks or 2 rows equals a pass. That's just another term you'll hear with tapestry. And what we're going to do, just looking at the cartoon, the very basic cartoon, is we're going to come up in stages of 1. So we've come around that warp, then we'll come around this one, and this one. So that's what you might call or refer to as regular hatching. That means you're creating some kind of shape on purpose. So this will be a little triangle. So we've done irregular hatching before, where the orange might now sit on top of the blue. So that's the difference. So regular is just creating this shape with intention. So what I'll show you. So what it means is now come back with the blue. And again, I always just look after my edges. So make sure I do about 1 inch or so at the side, and then continue to where I want to come to. So I'll come in 1 warp. So sometimes that can be confusing because you come under that hill and then you're going to wrap around that valley and come back. But I'll just keep it simple by doing 1 row at a time. So I'll get the orange, do my usual inch, look after my selvage, and then come under that blue. So come on top of that blue and come under the hill. Okay, and now I know with the orange I can just return straight to the left to complete the pass. Okay, so I'm just going to continue just like that, coming in 1 at a time until I've got to the base of where I want the little boat to be. Then I'll show you what's going to happen. You can see my hairs get everywhere. I'm going to show you what's going to happen when we bring in a 3rd colour or a new shape. So I will be back when I've just done this little bit. Right, so I've got to the base of my little boat and I've left the weft bundles in this position here. So either side of the loom. And we're just going to try and take this down into simple terms, because this gets quite complex. And in my courses, we work on a cartoon project from start to finish. And I do live filming. So what that means is when I encounter a shed issue on film, on camera, I show you how I correct it in the moment, and it really helps my students learn how to correct their own sheds as and when they need to. So for the sake of this video, I'm just trying to create a shed problem that I'm then going to show you how to fix, if that makes sense. So it's not very realistic, but I'm just going to show you what I mean. So I'm doing a boat, and I know I have to come in to here into the middle area with a new colour. And I know because I'm coming in between 2 weft bundles which are placed perfectly opposing each other, that I'm going to create a shed problem. Now, yeah, so I know that from experience, but you will just come across shed issues, and you'll know you're in a shed issue when you suddenly have, I've talked about hills and valleys, so when you suddenly have 2 valleys together on your row or 2 hills together, and you're going to wonder what to do about that, because you're either going to look like you're going to come under 2 warps or over 2 warps, depending if it's a hill or a valley, and that's going to cause an issue on your work. So that's when you know you're in the wrong shed. But as you become more practiced in your work, you will start to just quickly glance at your work and see if your shed is correct as you're going along. So I'm going to come in with the cream. Well, we'll keep referring to this as a weft bundle just for ease. So I'm going to come in, and I know that if I come in here at the base of the boat and work towards the orange, that because we're still working in this direction, so coming towards each other, this little area of the work is going to be in the correct shed. this blue is where we're going to have the issue. I'm going to have to change the shed. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'll come under the base of the boat. So I'm going to come under this one, under this hill, and just come across the width of the boat. I'm going to have to pigtail off, as we always do. Okay, so I'll bring the orange to meet it. I'll try and do this as simply as I can. So I'm going to bring the orange. I think I'm going to have to get some kind of black paper to go behind while I'm filming because it's quite hard to see. Right, so we've got our usual warp left in the middle. So that's kind of there, just all very proximate. Now with the blue, we can do one of two things. So the first thing we can do is, I know we're going to be in the wrong shed because I've done the row of cream, the row of orange, and I know I have to do the row of blue. And I've not yet done it, but I also know that we're going to get to the wrong shed, and I'll show you. So we come to meet the cream. Okay, and I'll show you what will happen. So we've come to meet it, and it's quite hard to see at this stage that we're going to be in the wrong shed. This is the problem, but I'll show you as we go back. So for instance, I've done the orange, the cream, the blue. So if I now go back with the blue, I'll show you what happens. And this is when you don't notice you've got a shed issue. So I've come back with the blue, and I'm going to come back with the cream. I'll just show you what would happen in reality. So you're coming back with the cream, and you want to now overlap the blue. Can you see? Because the cream's going up at the side of the boat, so we want to come to this next one. But we've suddenly, oh no, we've got a valley and a valley. So what do we do? So we come under that hill, and that means we have to go over two valleys. It just doesn't make sense. And what's happened is we've suddenly got valley, hill, valley, valley, hill. Now I knew that was going to happen just because I was expecting it, but you wouldn't know until you've become more experienced. So there's two simple fixes. So what we can do, if we come back to where the blue first met the cream, we need to change the shed. So quite a good way to do it is change the shed straight away. And what that means is we have to pigtail off this blue and finish off this blue piece of yarn. So what we need to do is come under a valley. We're going to have to come under another valley to pigtail off. And by wrapping the yarn around that warp and creating a pigtail, we've now made that into a hill. So by just pigtailing off, so I'd cut this and leave a little tail, we've instantly changed the shed. So we've now got a valley, hill, etc. all the way across the width of the loom. And what I do is I've cut off this blue. Now I'd restart the blue at this side. So just cut it off and just use the same piece of yarn, start at this side, and then we have two weft bundles together and one blue at this side. And then we're in the absolute correct position to then be able to keep going up this angle at this side and this angle at this side without there being any shed issues. Now that's one option. The second option you can do, and I'll just show you, which might be a bit more obvious as you're working. I'll show you another fix I do. So rather than cutting the weft off at this side and restarting at this side, I'll just show you. That's when you've got a bit more experience that you know you're going to have a shed issue. That's really helpful. But if you're not yet familiar that you're going to have a shed issue, you come back to this side, like so. Now, you'll have taken your cream and see that you've got two valleys together, so that's not going to work for your slight incline on the cartoon. So another option to do is when you got to that stage is you can bring the blue, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself now. What you can actually do is pigtail off the blue here, sorry. So you can see there's an issue. So this is what I do a lot of the time. This is option 2. So like I say, we've come back to this side. We're just going to pigtail off here because we've now spotted the issue. So cut off the tail. So option 1 was really if you know it's going to happen. This is option 2. You've seen it's happened. I've cut off this yarn at this side, and then what we can do to change the shed is just put an extra row of blue on. And what we need to do is restart the blue here, and by restarting the blue here and putting in an extra row of weft, we've automatically changed the shed. So changing this shed is really just about putting one more row of weft in a certain area, and that now puts you in a different shed just to continue working. So I really hope that makes sense. So I'm just so relieved to get my equipment working. I really hope that makes sense. And I'll show you now when you come across with the cream. So I'll wrap around this spare warp here. So when you come across and you're working with shapes, you can now come under that hill because you want to be coming on top of the blue. So we've done the cream because that's the dominant colour, so let's focus on the cream. We'll get the orange and we'll bring it back to this side, to the left. So I've completed that pass. And a way to track where you are with your weft bundles again is to look where you are. If these weft bundles, these two are correct, you've got two opposing, but these are both pointing the same direction. So we need to bring the blue back to meet the cream to get back into the correct weft placement. Like so. So the cream is going to come up in steps of 1 just to come up this incline. So I'll do the cream again first. So bring the cream back to where I want it now on top of the next orange, and we're in the perfect shed here because that was never an issue between the orange and the cream. So I'm going to come under this one here and start coming on top of the orange. And the blue can now come back to the side. And then remember, we've got to bring the orange back because these two are now in the correct position. So we need to bring the orange to meet the cream, and then we're back to where we want to be, working our way up the loom. So this is very simplified. As you get more advanced, you'll work in little areas at a time. So this is just really basic to show you all about shed issues. So with tapestry, there's a certain order to work. So with this shape, because it's going outwards, it's got a flat base, and because it's going outwards in that direction and that direction, we have to build the foundation of the tapestry first. So we'd have to do this bit first and this bit first. And what might happen is you might find if you did this bit first and then this bit, you might find when you come to start doing this little area that you're going to have shed issues. So that's another thing. So I like to just at the very beginning just try and keep in absolute alignment so we can just correct any shed issues and understand it before you come more advanced and you start kind of working in different sections of your piece of work. So that's just really quite basic. So what I would do is I'd just keep going exactly like that, one row at a time, and then as you advance you could do one pass at a time. So remember, a pass is 2 rows, and you'll just get confidence very quickly just by understanding the shed. And what I always say to students, just becoming shed aware. So noticing when something's not quite right. And I'm always to hand. Please do ask me if there's anything you're really struggling with. I am here. I respond to my email address, or my students have a Facebook group that they can ask questions on. And things like that. So I'm always around because I just love doing this. I love teaching. I just want to help things click with you as quickly as possible. So that was 2 options on shed, changing the shed. And I'll try and cover that again. What I'll do is, I've just got an idea. I've just got a cartoon to hand. I think I'm going to film this as a little tutorial for you, because in this, there's actually absolutely going to be an issue with sheds. So this is really straightforward. You've got a solid area here. Then you've got this section, this one, this, and this. And I think this would be a really good example to show you what to do with your shed. And this is a little design that people use in my beginner's workshop. And a lady did it a couple of months ago and it was really, really good. You'll see it on my Instagram feed. So I'll try and do that next with you. But I really hope that's helped. Drop some comments, please, if this is still confusing, and I'll do my best to help you. But thanks for watching.